If you wanna be solicitors, why don't you come and visit us at SQETV?
Can I answer this question in less than a minute? Let's find out. A man is employed by a roofing company to repair roofs. The role requires him to wear special gloves in order to protect his hands when he handles roof tiles. While standing on some scaffolding negligently erected by the roofing company, he falls off, suffers serious injury to his head and brings a claim. Ouch. He carelessly failed to wear the gloves at the time. Which of the following best describes whether the company can successfully claim contributory negligence on the part of the roofer? The company can't claim contrib because the roofer's carelessness didn't cause or contribute to the injury. Well, that's right. The reason for wearing the gloves was to protect his hands from the tiles, and the reason for the accident was caused by the negligent scaffolding. That's right. Can we rule out the rest? Company can't claim contrib because the roofer didn't owe the company a duty of care. Correct first statement, incorrect second statement. So that's wrong. Company can claim contributory negligence because the roofer's carelessness caused or contributed to the injury. No, it didn't. So they can't claim contrib. So that's wrong. And D, company can claim contrib. We can stop there. They can't claim contrib, so rule that out. And same reason for E, we can rule that out. So yeah, A is the right answer.
SQETV.
As regulars on SQETV, you will know what we now do is to give you an example of what my internal monologue was going, my thought process at getting to the answer that I concluded. And the good news is the correct answer, I've checked with the SRA's website, the correct answer is option A. So the company can't claim contributory negligence because the roofer's carelessness didn't cause or contribute to the injury. So let's now do the analysis. So, firstly, a man is employed by a roofing company to repair roofs. The role requires him to wear special gloves in order to protect his hands when he handles roof tiles. And at this stage, even this early in the question, because I've done a lot of question drafting, seen a lot of scenarios, I was thinking, yeah, this is probably something to do with tort, and I bet he doesn't end up wearing the gloves because it said he should have worn the gloves. Indeed, that's how it turned out, of course. And it says, while standing on some scaffolding negligently erected by the roofing company, he falls off, suffers serious injury to his head and brings a claim. So this is a personal injury claim. It's a claim for negligence, ultimately the tort of negligence. And it says he carelessly failed to wear the gloves at the time, so my suspicion proved to be correct. And indeed, the question says, which of the following best describes whether the company can successfully claim contrib on the part of the roofer? And before we look at the 5 options, I think it'd be really helpful at this stage if we could just really do a summary of the law. Normally we leave that till the end of the video, but I think it'd be helpful now just so we can cover that off and just explain what the 3 limbs you need to establish in order to prove contributory negligence. So I'm just going to list them first and then we'll do the analysis. So the 3 limbs you need to prove that are present are firstly that the failure on the part of the victim here, the claimant, to take reasonable care for their own safety has to be present. Secondly, there needs to be a causal link between the injury that they sustained and the act that the person committed that may be allegedly contributory negligence. Finally, limb 3 of the test says that the harm to the claimant needs to have been reasonably foreseeable. It was then very easy for us to reach a conclusion as to A being the correct answer because it says the company can't claim contributory negligence because the roofer's carelessness didn't cause or contribute to the injury. It wasn't the failure to wear the gloves that caused him to fall off and suffer personal injury. It was the negligent erection of the scaffolding. So just going through in belt and braces, and you should do this in the assessment as well, like I did when I was going through the question very quickly, just make sure there isn't a better answer out there. So B said the company can't claim contrib because the roofer didn't owe the company a duty of care. Well, we're correct in saying the first part of this is correct. The company can't claim contrib, but it's not because the roofer didn't owe the company a duty of care. That's not the right reason. It's because there isn't a causal link between the failure to wear the gloves and the injuries he received. Of course, he did owe an obligation to take reasonable care for his own safety, but that in itself didn't cause the accident, and that's the problem, which is why we don't get home on limb 2 of that test I just showed you. So B is incorrect for the second part of the statement. If you look at C, D and E, all 3 of them start off with saying the company can claim contributory negligence, and we're saying and have concluded they can't claim contributory negligence because of the lack of this causal link. But let's just go through and look at the second part of the limb because it might be wrong for 2 reasons. C, let's have a look. It says the company can claim contrib because the roofer's carelessness caused or contributed to the injury. Well, no, it didn't. Not wearing the gloves didn't cause the injury. So that's clearly wrong on both parts of C. D says the company can claim contrib because the roofer's carelessness materially increased the risk of injury. Well, I think we know the first part's wrong for the reasons we just said, but I think it's fair to say the roofer's carelessness materially increased his risk of injury, but not the injuries he actually sustained. So he was at risk of cutting his hands and sustaining injuries for not wearing gloves, but that's irrelevant in the context of the fact pattern here. And finally, E, the company can claim contrib. We know that's wrong. And then it says because the roofer owed the company a duty of care. Well, as we've said, the claimant, the man here in this case, had a duty to take reasonable care for his own safety, but the company can't claim contributory negligence. So clearly A is the right answer.
SQETV.
As regulars on SQETV will know, what we do at the end of these videos is to give you various alternative fact patterns, various what-if scenarios for you to go away and think about how your answer might change if a slightly different fact pattern presented itself in the exam, because of course you're not going to get the identical question coming up in your SQE assessment. So what if scenario number one? Well, what if rather than falling off the negligently erected scaffolding, the man who hadn't worn the gloves as he should have done injured his hands very seriously as a consequence of maybe falling over on the scaffolding by maybe tripping over something that a colleague had left there? Would he be able to recover the full amount of his damages, or would they be reduced as a consequence of his contributory negligence? What if scenario number two? So again, the same sort of fact pattern. So he falls off the scaffolding, which has been negligently erected. He's not wearing the gloves. But what if the injury to his hands are much more serious because he didn't wear the gloves? How would that change your answer? And finally, what if the cause of him falling off the scaffolding that was negligently erected wasn't as a consequence of the scaffolding being negligently erected, but was due to maybe an explosion within the building, and the vibration of that explosion caused him to lose his balance and fall off the scaffolding and sustain injuries that way? Would there be any contributory negligence on his part there? So various what if scenarios. What we don't do, as I've said on other videos, is just to give you the answer here and now, because we feel it's much better for you to go away and really think about that yourselves and work out the answer like you would do in an assessment. And if you're not sure, have a chat with a friend, a colleague, even a tutor, and maybe they can confirm your understanding. Chances are you'll work out the slightly different analysis and conclusions that you would reach in each case. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe to the channel, because it really helps us keep ahead of the algorithm and deliver more of this content to you. If you like this content, let us know by leaving a comment in the chat. And if you want more similar content, maybe on further questions that crop up in the MCQ bank that the SRA have got out there, then please let us know which ones you want us to cover, and we'll do our best to cover it in the near future. In the meantime, as we always do, when we finish an SQETV video, we say, it's now time for the jingle.
If you wanna be solicitors, why don't you come and visit us at